What's going on? My name is Henry, and this is Breaking the Program, where we take a look at up-and-coming creators. Today we have Raphael. He is a game developer working on his first commercial project, Planet Cleaners. Hello, Raphael. How are you doing today?
I'm great. You, Henry, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited to have you on. Super excited. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is what got you into the mindset of getting into game development. Where did that take place? Was that like in middle school? Did you always know? When did that happen?
Actually, it started really, really early. I remember my dad showed me PowerPoint like when I was really young, probably like 5, 6, something like that. And I had a lot of fun with it, just making random stuff. And I also I really liked animation at the time. I was using a software called Toon Boom, made some small little
Yes.
animations. Yeah. And I ended up starting making games in PowerPoint.
So
Yeah, so that was pretty weird. Obviously, it's not really great games, it's PowerPoint.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a
I
lot
don't
of
think if you
limitations.
yeah. I don't think if you told a lot of people like, yeah, I started with PowerPoint and game development, like they were like, what?
Yeah, but I actually met people that made games in PowerPoint too, and I was
Oh,
actually pretty
really?
surprised.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
there's actually a bunch of people online making games with PowerPoint right
wow,
now. It's
that's
pretty
good.
messed up.
I would have never
Yeah.
guessed that.
I know it's pretty weird, but yeah. So, but I made like 1 or 2 games in PowerPoint. I was like,
hmm
oh, making games that's awesome. I want to do that. And I remember I was with my cousin, and he was playing around with a software on his computer,
hmm
and I was like, wait, what's that? It was like, oh, that's RPG Maker 3. I got it cracked. You want it? And I was like, yeah, like give me that. And so yeah, I started with RPG Maker 2003. Honestly, at the time, the software was a bit too complicated for me, as simple as RPG Maker is. So I was making like really basic stuff, but I was having like so much fun.
Because you're
And
only like 6 or 7 at the time you said, right?
yeah, I was. And then honestly, I kind of steered away from games and really got into Visual Basic and programming small softwares.
hmm
I'd make like kind of phone simulations on my computer, things like that. Like, but really basic stuff, like or launchers for games. Like at the time, I was so like cringy. Like I made a launcher for Dofus, which is a MMO, but Dofus already had a launcher, so I made a launcher for a launcher. And I was so freaking happy of like having that made.
What exactly is a launcher? It's just like a
Oh, it's just
UI.
like you double click on it, and
Uh-huh.
then it shows a picture of the game, and then
And
like it says, oh, like click here to play, and then yeah, that's it.
everybody has to start somewhere, right? Like I remember when I
Yeah,
first started,
definitely.
yeah, when I first started editing, I just did stuff in Movie Maker, and anybody that uses Movie Maker goes, that thing does not do anything. It's basically
I
like a
know.
slideshow editor. You just put things
Yeah.
together. But we all start somewhere. It's cool that you started doing that, and now where you are right now. So
Yeah.
you said you got into programming, and then like, was there ever a point where you were thinking like maybe game design isn't that the thing for me, or was it always like in the back of your head because you dipped down into programming for a little bit? And did you ever have a time where you were thinking like maybe I could be a programmer instead of a video game designer?
Yeah, well, actually, the game designer part came really late.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I wanted to be a graphic designer, but I was just like messing up with Visual Basic for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, that transformed into, oh wait, like maybe graphic design isn't my thing. Maybe I want to go in programming.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I was searching for schools, I was looking at programming courses to make video games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when past high school and everything, I was making games at home on Unity. I had started making like small little games, nothing crazy, but it was a start, and I was really happy about it, and I felt like that I was going somewhere, and I wanted to expand my knowledge in programming, because I thought, like, what do you need to make games? Code.
Program,
And
right?
I thought that was pretty much it,
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And so I went into schools, look at their program, and some guy that was showing me around the school was like, "Hey, we have all these different programs. So we have programming, and actually at the time, programming, it was the first year they were integrating programming in the school.
Oh, really?
You had art, And I think the reason for that is that there's like so many jobs in Montreal. Like for artists, they can find jobs in video games, but they can also find jobs for movies and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I feel like
So,
Montreal is a really good hub for just creative artists in
oh,
general. Like huge.
definitely
Yeah,
the
like the
best. Yeah.
films, art, like anything over there you can find.
Oh, for sure. There's ton of events as well. Like I wish I could go to all of them
Yeah.
because Montreal is such like an amazing place for creators. But yeah, so they were like, oh well, there's programming, but there's also game design, and I had actually never heard of game design before.
Hmm.
And the way they kind of pitched it to me was you basically learn how to think and come up with game mechanics, and then I don't know how to explain how they pitched it to me first, but
That's okay. So you
yeah.
said they pitched you game design and it appealed to you. This is like, yo, this is the thing that I've been looking for this whole time, right?
Yeah, because the way they pitched it to me, that's what I was trying to say. It was like game design. The game design kind of englobed the whole thing. You know,
Hmm.
you'd see like programming, you'd see art, and you'd see like how to create game mechanics. And like game mechanics to me was fascinating at the time. Like I was like, wait, like you can actually like that's a job. Like you can sit down and just design
Yeah.
things, and I was like, wait, like how is that a job? And I was like, yeah, definitely, I'm going in that. Like that's crazy.
I didn't know people got paid for
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
I was pretty shocked, and honestly, I still am, but that's another topic. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, so yeah, I got into that. Yeah, that's how I got interested in game design.
So that's always just like since you were a kid, PowerPoint, and then just building on top of that. Because it seemed like you were studying different things throughout your time growing up, like programming, then just like the whole
Oh,
concept of
yeah.
that. And then
Oh,
when,
I had
mhm,
yeah, I had a computer very early on, so I just played around with everything that was
right.
available online. Yeah.
So you were like an all in it. Was it only game design? Or did you like study other things too, like things that doesn't really have to do with games, but we're still in the tech sector?
Well, I mean, I know how to make music. In high school, I did like 5 years of drums. So, and music is has always been a very big part of my life.
Hmm.
So,
You
yeah,
could. Yeah,
yeah,
you could argue that that's kind of involved in game design because there's like I know sound is a huge part of game design. Also, it's a huge part
yeah,
of a
sound
lot of
design.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things actually. So you got into the college. How was the process of actually being in that college? Like, was it like really hard? Like, how intense was it?
In Montreal, we have that thing. So, after high school, you need to go to college. Well,
Hmm.
or what we call cégep here. And I had a hard time going through high school. I was more interested in, playing with my computer at home
Right.
and not really caring about maths and stuff and or French or whatever. I had a hard time at school, and I really just wanted to make games. So after high school, I was like, I want to make games. I don't want to go back to learning maths and French and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right. It's not important.
So yeah, that wasn't what I wanted to do, and of course, like it was a hard decision to make because it's kind of unsure. It's not the classic, path, but
Yeah, I feel like that's
um,
with any creative thing. Like if you ever want to do something that's outside, because most people just get like an office job when they grow up and that's how they make their living. So especially if you're just working in the creative field, that's unsure, it's so unstable, and it must have been like
yeah.
such a big decision for you at that time.
Yeah, but I honestly, like to be honest, I hated high school so much that at that point I really knew that all I wanted was a very unstable life. Like yeah, so I was like, you know what, like F it, like I'm going into that school, and it was even a bigger leap at the time because in Quebec you're actually not allowed to go into one of these schools after high school. You need 1 year of studying in CEGEP to
Hmm.
or any type of field to or even you can like take a year of like doing nothing, and then you can go to these schools. Like they just want you to do anything else than go
Besides,
to these schools after
so
high school.
so how did you get around that then?
Well, basically, the school, there's like a test that you need to pass to get into the school, and I passed the test,
Hmm.
and they told me, well, you have a very interesting portfolio. Like I mentioned, I had made games at the time, so
Right, in RPG
I showed them.
and
Yeah,
Unity,
I made a
right?
bunch of stuff. Yeah, Unity, a lot of Unity,
Hmm.
and I still use Toon Boom, and at that point I was in Harmony, so I was drawing some pretty cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were like, yeah, that's pretty cool, and we really want you in, and we don't know, but we can't take you, right, because the government says so. So
Yeah, yeah.
what we can do is we can send you to, so the school's called is called Isart Digital.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a French school. So they have a school in Paris and one in Montreal, and they have like a link with Tokyo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But in a university. So they told me, yeah, you can go in Paris, study 1 year there, and then come back in Montreal and do 2 more years.
Yeah, do the rest of it. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So at the time I was 17, I didn't really know how to react. So yeah, I went.
It must have been like so just like shocking. Like you're 17, then you're going to Paris to go to study game design, like the thing that you didn't even know existed, and now you're doing it in a whole new, you know.
Yeah, it was a super weird experience because, like I mentioned, at the time I was super lost. Like
Mm-hmm.
I hated high school, and that was done. So I was like, I'm free. I can do whatever I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
I received that email of them responding to my application. And I kind of like went to my mom and I was joking about it. I was like, "Hey, look, mom, like I could go to Paris study for a year, like." But I said that like as a joke, right?
Yeah,
like I can't do that, like.
Yeah.
And my mom just looked at me and she said like, "You should do it." I was like, "Wait, what?"
You didn't think you
And
were gonna
then,
get a support on that?
yeah, no, definitely. I was really surprised. And that really shook me because that was even more of like, yo, dude, like you can do whatever, like just live your life.
Yeah.
So I was really shook. And yeah, from that on, that kind of worked out. So I took a plane and I went to Paris. And I was like definitely one of the best years of my life. I mean, the school was, to go back to your question, it was a big turnaround. But yeah, the school was very intense in that first year because they make like a selection of like which kids they want to keep for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. They really put the pressure on you. And honestly, like schools in France and I think in Europe in general is so much focused on theory, and they really put pressure on the students. I feel like in America there's way less pressure and they'll let you slack a bit. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's two different train of thoughts. Like really in Paris, I was like, okay, that's messed up. Like they're really pushing us to the limit.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
too
remember
far.
like I remember like staying up till 4 a.m. like every single night for weeks, drinking like 12 coffees a day. And that wasn't like me like screwing up anything or not listening in
That
class
was
or
just you
whatever. That
trying
was
to like
actually,
keep up, like just like this was something that you wanted to do, and you still couldn't keep up with it, even with all the class
oh,
time.
but I mean I kept up with it because like I had no life.
Right,
You
right.
know,
That's
like
what I meant. Like you had to sacrifice all of your time just to keep up with the course. Like that's how intense it was.
yeah, but since I had, like I just moved in Paris. I have no friends. I have nothing to do. I
Uh-huh.
have my apartment was a bed and a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It was super, super small. I had nothing to do other than study and work.
Right.
So that's what I did. And I learned like so much in that 1 year. Like it's crazy. I think like most of the things I know right now is from that 1 year.
Just the first
Even
year.
though I did, yeah, just the first year
Uh-huh.
because I was so focused on it. I was really just like, I want to learn how to make games. And since the school was really pushing us to our limits, I felt like they were giving me all the tools I needed to succeed, right? To
Mm.
learn how to make games really quickly. If I look at it and I say like, wait, but if you're not in that mindset, the mindset that I was on at the time, and you just, okay, you're going through school, like whatever, just another school and anything.
You're
If you're
gonna
not
get
into that
dropped, right?
mindset, oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. It's rough, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to get like super strict because if you don't get strict feedback on what you're doing, and I feel like I kind of share that with my community on my video. At least I try. I
Uh-huh.
mean, like if you don't give me like honest feedback and really like harsh feedback, something like, hey, that sucks, like you really need to change that for
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that that reason, it would be much better that way.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
like something
that's
constructive, right? Because I know a lot of
yeah,
people, when you ask a lot of people, especially friends and family, and it's like, oh, how is this? They go like, oh, that's great. They give you a pat on the back, and it's not,
yeah.
it might be nice, like it might make you feel nice, but it's not very helpful for you because like, wait, I appreciate that, thank you, but I know it's not
But
working. How can I
yeah,
help? Yeah,
how can I make it better?
right.
And that's actually one of the things, like when I was a kid making games at home, like coming back from school, and I'd show that to my friends, or I'd show that to my family, and they were like, "Oh, that's super nice." I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I went to that school, and they were like, "What did you do there? That's disgusting. Like, it doesn't work." And like I
Yeah.
was like, "Wait, you're right. It doesn't work. Like, it's really bad. Like, I need to change that."
Yeah.
And I really learned from that. And I was like, if I could right now, like, I'd legit pay someone to like bash me every single day on what I'm doing.
I think that's
Like,
a
it's
good
just
mindset to have. I think it's a very good mindset to have, especially if you want to improve quickly. That is
yeah.
the way that you should be thinking.
Yeah, well, actually, that's one of the things that really, like, I was really sad when I came back to Montreal because when I started the school there, it wasn't that French mentality anymore. It was really like, oh, like, just do the homework, and if you've done it, you'll pass. I was like, wait, what? Like,
It was a
I
part
don't
of the
want to.
same school though, right?
Yeah, it was the same school, but
So
I have like a very like clear memory of my second year, like doing an exercise and then getting my grade, and I swear it was 100%. And in my with that mindset that I had, I was like, it is just impossible to give 100% to someone. Like
yeah,
you,
because that
and
means it's like it's
nothing can be
perfect, right?
perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect and nothing can be perfect. You said you mentioned just a few seconds ago, you said that was the French mentality. Do you think like that's all French people that are like that? Or is it just like
From what I've seen in Paris, maybe I don't know if it's like that in all of France. I've
uh-huh.
only been to Paris, but they really have that performing. That's really something. Performing is really something that they support,
Uh-huh.
and if you're not performing, you're worthless. Like
Yeah.
that's really the feeling I got from there, and I don't think that's sane. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but I kind of liked it,
Yeah.
so I went with it.
Yeah, I feel there's like a lot of people that talk about that, especially like not well like successful people where they say like, oh yeah, when I was going through this, it broke me down so much just because they gave so much feedback and it wasn't in a nice way. There was this monk that I actually watched, and he was talking about going to the Buddhist temple.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I was talking about
y-
someone talked to me about that.
Yeah, and he was very like he said like, I want to start up a dojo or whatever it's called, but I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
train people the way they train me over there, and people don't like that in America. So I don't know if how
Yo,
successful.
definitely.
Yeah, I don't
But
know how.
I know some people, like I'm sure some people in America would love that, but it's
Yeah,
just you got to find your niche.
yeah, and I feel like America, well, I've only lived in America my whole life. So people in general in
Okay.
America, they're like they just want you to be happy. They're very friendly. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of
That's not the case in Paris.
Yeah. Why you smiling, bro? What's up with that?
Exactly. Exactly. Like, oh my God. Yeah, it's such a different mentality.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really, like I said, the best year of my life, but like so many things shocked me, and I was like, it's not just in schools, right?
Hmm.
It's everywhere. And like here in America, we have the thing where the client kind of is the king.
Hmm.
Like if you go into a coffee shop and you just order coffee, you'll be treated like a king, or like
Right, right,
they're gonna
right.
say, hey, how are you? No, no, okay, you want a coffee? That's fine. What coffee do you want? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, there you go. Thank you. And in France, the tip is included. People in Paris, they kind of think highly of themselves, and
Uh-huh.
I don't want to make a generality, but that's kind of the feeling I got. And you're like, I've been served like, oh, like here's your freaking coffee, like, and just like
What,
drink it quick. I don't want to see your face anymore, like.
That's
And I
good.
was like, wait, what's that? And I used to like, I cannot like not tip someone, like
Uh-huh.
being like French Canadian, like we have that joke like Canadians are like too kind and everything. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
still like tip you, but
Yeah,
like, why are you so mean? Like I didn't do anything. Yeah,
that's funny. So
yeah,
yeah, that's good. So when you got back to Montreal, it was a big
yeah,
difference. It was a huge shift just in the culture, just because everybody was so much nicer. And you
yeah.
said the first year was a year that you learned the most. Was the next 2 years, because it's only a 3-year course, right?
Yep.
So the next 2 years, did you feel like I don't know if it's worth it staying here anymore because I just feel like I'm not learning as much, or is it still like consistent progression for you?
Um, yeah, definitely. I definitely felt that. Actually, I mean, it's 2 more years to get your diploma,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a third year, so for me, it would have been a fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
that I could have done to get another diploma that's valid in France, and to create a whole game with people from the school, right?
Right.
And I chose to not do it.
Just because you thought it wasn't going to be helpful for you?
Yeah. I definitely think it's helpful. It's helpful for some people. It's a great experience. You have an awesome game to show in your portfolio. Like I said, I'm in there to take risks. I'm in there to have an unstable life. That's something I
Right.
chose. And that's what I want for me. So yeah, I like I said, like the first year in Montreal was really like so the second year basically.
Yeah.
Was really like finding out that wait, like it's not as harsh as it was. They're not giving the useful feedback I used to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, but honestly, like it's an awesome school. Like they're really open to talking to the students, and that's something that I've expressed with the school. And they really, I could see, like, just between the second year and the third year, I saw the whole change that they tried to bring in the third year, and I definitely learned a lot more in the third year than in the second year.
But still not as much as the first, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. But like the school in Paris was there from like for years. Like Montreal, they're starting out.
Oh, they
So
just started. I didn't know.
Yeah. So I mean, it's normal, for a school that's starting out to like try to find where, and they can't push the students in Montreal. Like there would be complaints from parents and from
right.
people. Like you can't do that. It's not the North American mentality.
Yeah, they just want their kids to be happy and to learn, but don't stress them.
And you definitely learn. You learn a bunch of stuff. There's awesome teachers. Everything is great. It just wasn't the experience that I first had that I love so much.
Did you think about going back, or was that just not a possibility to go back to Paris?
I did. But it's too expensive.
Oh, it's too expensive. That's the reason.
Yeah.
It makes
Paris
sense.
is very, very expensive. Yeah, and I'm really grateful to have lived that, because I know it costs it costs us a ton of money.
Right.
And, not a lot of people have
gone to Paris. Yeah. That's really cool.
The next 2 years, they were like I said, like if you go there and you know nothing about video games, you'll learn a lot, and it's going to be a lot, even in Montreal. And now that I know they're changing the program every single year, and it's getting better and better and better. But to me at the time being there, I was like, I had so much free time because I finished like what they were giving me like really quickly, and I didn't feel really satisfied with the feedback I'd gotten. So I kind of stopped pouring so much time into, what they were asking me to do, and I started other projects on the side. And so during those 2 years, I actually made a mobile game that I published that was called Dodgeboard. And it was a really small mobile game, but it was my first game that I had finished from start to end and published, And that was an awesome experience. And it was actually kind of in the structure of the school, because they ask students to make a project on the side and then share it with the class. But it was nothing like make a whole game,
Yeah. So when you came in with that, were they like surprised at how much you had done, or?
No, they weren't, because they knew me from Paris.
So they already had the reputation.
Well, I mean, I didn't have like street cred or whatever, but it was just like, well, I think they knew that Paris was like very informative, and you learned a ton in there, and obviously you'd have like a level that brought something. But I mean, it's something that anybody could have done.
So it was just like a project. What was it called again?
Dodgeboard. Unfortunately, it's not on the Google Play Store anymore. Because at the time I really just wanted to put a game out, and I didn't really check like what was the requirements and what you need to put in like terms and licenses and whatever. And so they shut the game down.
Oh, they removed it.
Yeah. But it was really a bad game. Like I'm saying, like, oh, I did a full game, whatever. But it was really a bad game. Like it's really not good looking. But I mean it was still a full game, And that's why I wanted to do it.
Right. Everybody starts off with their first thing. Like I feel like everybody's first thing is gonna be bad. Like that's just inevitable. I mean, it's good that you got that one out of the way. And then
definitely. But that was a life-changing experience, to finish a game. And now that's one of the first tips I give to people that want to start making games is like, all right, just sit down
and make a game.
And make a make a full game. Don't
Right.
scope it big. Don't make a fully fledged RPG. Like,
Right.
just start with a simple concept, like really really stupid. Like the game I did was, it's dodgeboard, because you play as a rectangle that dodges cubes, right?
Uh-huh.
So you either press right or left to dodge the red cubes
Uh-huh.
that are coming in. That's it. That's the game. So it's really really simple. It was a mobile game, really really simple.
Uh-huh.
But I completed it. You could like unlock custom colors, like as stupid as that may sound. Like, it was, I didn't make any skins, it was just colors, but
Colors, right?
I made the whole game. I added ads to it and everything. I made a whole total of like 2 cents, but it was a whole game.
Yeah, it was a whole yeah. It was the first thing that
And
you did. It was really that's
I yeah, I truly believe that I couldn't be making the project I'm doing right now if I hadn't made that game before, for
that's
sure.
that's a good
Yeah.
note to take away. Like, yo, just do it. It's not gonna be good, but if at least doing it, it gives you so much more experience, and it lets you build off of that information that you gain from
Yeah.
that one experience.
But
Probably
I
better.
mean, if you always go and make games without finishing them, in your head, you're never gonna tell yourself like, I know I'm able to finish games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first game you finish, it's like, oh my god, I can make full games by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
As bad as the first game is.
Yeah, it's still a completed game. It's still a finished product. It may not be good, but you got it done, and you know that you can do it in the future. So that's good.
Exactly.
And I wanted to go towards like the end of school. I know that you wanted to you actually started development on Planet Cleaners before. I don't know if it was under a different name, but it started off as a mobile game, and it was a single player mobile game, and that's not what it is right now. So
Definitely, yeah. I think that the game was called like Planet Dash or something.
Planet Dash. Uh-huh.
That's the first name I did. I had for the game. I started it as a mobile game because at the time I was like, oh, I want to make mobile games because it just seemed like simpler, and there's a big audience for it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time it made sense. Now I realize like how bad of an idea that was. And I did realize it during the development, right? And I was making that game, in pixel art. And during the development, I looked back and I was like, why am I making this?
I'm sorry, did you not want to make it? Like, was it just not appealing to you? Like, why did you think that?
Oh no, I thought the game was pretty fun. At that time I was really looking at it like as a project, like, all right, I need to get this done, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I need a portfolio, I need to start putting games out there. That's how I'm gonna grow as a developer.
Right.
And I wanted to make games quickly, like like a ton of games. And I still believe that. And I've been on Planet Cleaners for a year now, and I really think that that's way too much time spent on a first commercial game, right? I don't know. Maybe I would scope the game down if I could go back. But I'm really happy with my project right now and its state. So I wouldn't really make such a comment. It's just like looking at the mobile game back then and how my first mobile game, had made like 2 cents. And it obviously makes sense because I had no concept of marketing or community building or
Right.
whatever at the time. That's not what I had studied. And I really thought, like, as stupid as that may sound, like it was like, oh well, you just put the game out there,
And then people
if
buy
it's a good
it.
game, it's gonna pick up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, like no, that's not how things work. Definitely. And that's the thing, like being like clueless about how the industry works and trying to figure things out. It really takes time. Like making a game, it's by itself is a huge task, but
Yeah.
just figuring out the industry is like even bigger.
So yeah, that's something that I wanted to ask you about too, because I saw in a video you said you were a week out of school, so you weren't in class anymore, and
Yep.
you wanted to become, or you classified yourself already as a solo indie developer, and you said that everybody told you that was a stupid idea and you should not do it, that you should have a few years at least into game development working, and then you could
Yeah.
transition into that. What was the thought process behind that? Was it the same like idea, like, oh,
So
uh-huh.
yeah, well, I had a week off school because the way the school works, and I think that's what makes ISART such a great school compared to other schools, is that you have 1 week of class and then 1 week off, and
Mhm.
then what that allows you to do is have an internship in a company during that week off.
Uh-huh.
I had an internship at Gameloft. I don't know if you know Gameloft.
Game
It's a
Loft.
mobile game company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they, they made Dungeon Hunter, Asphalt,
Yeah,
other
yeah,
games
yeah,
that
yeah.
are
Game
pretty
Loft.
big.
Yeah, yeah. I knew that's a game that sounded familiar. They did make Asphalt. I remember that game. They're what game are they on? Aren't they like the 12th Asphalt or something?
Yeah, yeah, they did that. Yeah, but they have like a bunch of studios, like, and yeah. So I worked as a technical game analyst at Gameloft Montreal, so 500 employees. It was pretty big.
Uh-huh.
It was an internship. It was paid. That's why I say I worked there. But
Uh-huh.
it was, and I felt like I'm really grateful for Gameloft and the opportunity and everything. But it really confirmed to me that um
It
being in
wasn't for
the
you.
industry, yeah. I mean, I hate to say that based on one experience, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's too simple.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just live one thing and say, oh, that's not for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like eating one sushi and
Going
saying
like,
like,
no, that's
oh,
not
I hate
good.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, sushi's bad.
So so yeah, so I like at that time I was like, you know what? And that's what got me really interested into mobile games, actually, like working at Gameloft
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the whole marketing aspect. I think that's where I really saw that marketing was a big part of game development. And so Gameloft did bring me like a lot of important information from my experience at Gameloft. I knew that that was like the industry. Maybe I'd like to go back to it maybe in a few years,
Mm-hmm.
but if there was one time in my life where I could go and try to create something by myself, it's now. And like, I'm young, still living in my at my parents. Like, I was working at Game Lab. I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, that, you know what, like, that's what it is. Like, I saw it and it brought me like all I needed to know. And definitely, like, obviously not, like working at some place like a few months, like I think I worked like half a year there. Obviously, like, I could have learned like a lot more, but I didn't feel like I was learning as much as I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the time I was spending there could be better spent watching YouTube videos that would give me more knowledge.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I just told myself, like, all right, that's why I want to go do something by myself and
Right.
just go indie, basically. Yeah.
What's the time frame for that? So you got out of Gameloft and you were still at that time. Did you
So
already
that was my first year. That was my first year in Montreal.
Oh, that
I
was in
landed the job.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that was
Yeah.
before Planet, the Planet game, mobile Planet game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
The Planet game came after Gameloft. Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you learned a lot about marketing from Gameloft, but you didn't start building the community for Planet, the mobile Planet game, Planet Cleaners.
Planet Cleaners. Yeah.
Yeah. Until later. Was that because you didn't think that this was gonna be like a big game, that it was just like you said, it was just a quick game for your portfolio? Or
Well, no, I wasn't doing it for the portfolio. I was definitely looking at it for as a commercial game. I think like it just hadn't synced in yet how important marketing was. It was like it was kind of a weird part of my life. Of course, like, I'm talking through this, but like, as a human being, you have ups and downs in life, and I was kind of focused on the project because it had me focused on something at that point. Like, making progress on the game is so visual, it's so gratifying that I was just doing it for, like, the sake of getting that kick of, wow, like, I just added that thing and it
yeah.
looks awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and so, like, and like, learning all the social medias and everything, like, that was a hard part for me. Like, to evolve, I feel, in game development and in life as well. I feel like you really need to put yourself in
An uncomfortable
uncomfortable,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
uncomfortable situations. And as the project, as Planet Cleaners evolves, and I'm probably gonna make a whole video on that subject, because that's really something that I've been thinking about lately. But it's really like I keep putting myself in more and more and more uncomfortable situations in which, like, I would have never placed myself there before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I keep learning, like, a
A lot from
ton.
it. A lot from
Yeah,
every time.
a lot.
So
But it does, like, kind of shake you up, like, it's still like, you're still a human being, you still have emotions and everything. And
Yeah, it's
It's a
scary.
lot. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary. Especially like even though you put yourself there, it's still scary just going through it, going like I understand like I'm gonna learn a lot from this, but right now sometimes you don't even have that mindset where you're going, I'm gonna learn a lot from this. You're just thinking like,
Yeah.
yo, what did I do? Why am I doing
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
I gotta do it. I
Yeah.
just gotta do it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just have to
And then
do
you,
it.
you just even like if it's social media posts or whatever, and just press enter and like, what have I done? Like, what is this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
people are gonna kill me. Like, yeah.
So you started Planet Cleaners, a mobile part, and then you decided to begin building the community around it, and then you started the crowdsourcing campaign, or was that after?
Yeah. So what happened was, someone at the school I was approached me and said, "Oh, I know you're working on a game right now. There's this thing called Ulul, which is basically Kickstarter but French." And I felt like Ulul is. I still feel like Ulul is a better option than Kickstarter, honestly.
So
And
I saw
yeah,
that video. You said that Ulu was a lot more helpful when you're
yeah.
actually creating the campaign. Where did they help you in that campaign? Like,
They actually invited me like in their studios, like just,
oh,
and I had someone like next to me like telling me like, oh yeah, you should do it like this, that's not good, maybe you should put it like that. Oh, look at that other campaign that someone did.
oh,
You know, like there's the actual like human interaction
oh. So
of
that
someone helping you through that whole process.
wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Is Ulu like a selection, like an invite only kind of thing, or is it like anybody can join up for that?
No, you can actually like just go there, and maybe you won't like have that social thing like of actually seeing someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how that went on, but you'll definitely have an actual human being that you're gonna be able to talk to in line that's gonna help you through the whole process.
Wow,
Yeah.
so that's crazy. So it's really hands on because I know like Kickstarter, they don't do that. They just like
No, yeah.
it's just like
And
a
Google actually
platform.
takes like a smaller share, I think, than Kickstarter as well.
Oh, really? And they
So
provide you with
yeah,
all of that? That's crazy.
yeah. It's awesome. It's really, really great. Yeah.
So Ulu, guys, go check it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you went to Ulu and then they helped you out. Seems like a lot because that's still crazy. I can't believe they gave you that much input into creating your campaign. Um,
Yeah, it was really helpful. And at the time I was like going with it, you know, like
uh-huh.
just like, oh, they're helping me and that's cool. And you have all these people telling you like, yeah, do it, do it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I had sent an email for an event in Montreal called the Megha, which
Mm-hmm.
is like one of the biggest events of video games we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And I could sign up for a free pod, so I did. And I had
Wow, so you got a
uh
free pod too? You got Ulu and then you got a free pod in Mega?
yeah,
That's
it was like,
crazy.
yeah, one of the luckiest part of my life,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
I got so lucky, yeah.
so before we get into the Mega, because I did want to talk about that a little bit more in
Yeah.
depth. You before you went to Mega, where in the process of making the campaign did you think like, well, I should probably build a community out of this? Because you mentioned a few times that you thought like I should have started building the community for this game like way before I actually did. Like when did that actually start happening? When did you make the Discord and when did you make that Twitter and everything?
Well, actually, what happened, yeah, was when I started making the crowdfunding campaign,
Mm-hmm.
um, some people, and like very, very few, like one or two person showed interest in the game,
Uh-huh.
and that was weird. I was like, wait, what? Like people are actually paying attention now? Like what's happening? And it just felt so great, you know, to have some sort of recognition from,
From
you know,
anyone.
like,
You're right.
yeah, from anyone, like, you know, like, because like I said, like I was on like no social media whatsoever, you know,
Right.
and like random people that I didn't know. It was the first time in my life that people that I didn't know like were actually paying attention to what I was doing and were like genuinely interested in something that I was creating.
So that's the thing
And
that sparked it for you, like, oh,
yeah,
I should like
yeah,
get people involved in this. Like that's the thing that lit the candle
yeah,
for you.
yeah, and definitely like the thing that really like made me feel very weird was like the part where people started to pour money into the campaign. I had a lot of friends and family, you know, like putting money into the campaign, and I was like super grateful, you know.
Right.
But I was like, wow, that's like
The
like
first
I didn't
person
expect
that,
that much from the family and
right.
from friends, to be honest. And I can't express how grateful I am for that. And that really, like, it shook me also, like how supportive all of the people around me were. And you know, like I know that that's the thing, like a lot of people don't have that
Yeah,
either, and
that's
like I
really,
felt
really,
really lucky.
yeah, that's really cool
Yeah.
of your family and your friends to put that much support into you, because I know a lot of people, some people probably listening, like they want to do something where they want to make something
Yeah.
or creative, and they don't have that support. They go like, nah, you should go to college, just like study engineering or
Yeah.
something. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. And I feel like I really have like a great family, great friends that are really supportive, and definitely that plays into what I am today. And I'm as grateful as I can be. Like it's just it's really awesome.
Right. But
And so
yeah, but
yeah.
they know you, right? So how did it feel when you got that first person you don't have any connection with, when they gave you some money to build this game? Like, how did that feel?
Yeah. Well, it's actually yeah, I really remember, like, was I was really shocked. Like I was like, wait, someone I didn't know before like put in some money into my project and really wants to see that thing happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it felt really weird. And I honestly, like, the campaign was a success.
Uh-huh.
And uh I felt kind of like a fraud at first.
Yeah.
Like
That's
really that horrible feeling that I had done something like horrible.
like
Like
you just took money
really
from
like
these people, and you're not
yeah.
even a real game developer. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is
Horrible.
that is
Worst feeling I
yeah,
yeah.
100% normal. People talk about that a lot. It's called imposter syndrome, where you're
Yeah.
at a level and you're getting all this, like, either recognition, or you're getting job offers, or getting money for your campaign or whatever.
Yeah.
And they look around and they look at their peers and they go like, well, I don't belong here. Like, this isn't something that I should be doing. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very normal thing to have that.
But at the time it feels really
It feels,
horrible because it feels like you're ungrateful, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, and
It
it's,
makes you feel like you're a horrible human being, like, and all of a sudden, you know, because the like as soon as you put your campaign out and the money starts pouring in, I remember I was looking at my phone and I was like, what the heck is happening? Like, why is this a thing? And at the time I was like, oh, it's so fun, you know, like 2 hours ago I was literally like, oh, it's so fun, like I'm making like this campaign, it's gonna be crazy, maybe like one or two people are gonna put like $1 or $2,
uh-huh,
and it's gonna be like, and then like it opened and there was like a ceremony with Ulul, and it was really cool, super cool event.
uh-huh.
And like, you know, money started to go in, and I was like, I did not expect it to work. And when it did, I really felt I did felt I and I hate to say this again because you know, I know it's human, but I
Yeah,
really felt bad about it. I
yeah,
really, really did. And it's horrible because I should have been super happy and super grateful for everything that I am super grateful
hmm,
for all that I got, but at the time it just didn't feel right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's very normal for that to be the first thing that people think of. And I hear a lot of people talk about it. I heard on a different podcast, I don't know if you know Red and Link. They make this,
No, I don't know actually.
yeah, they make this really it's a really successful YouTube show, and
Okay.
they've been on shows like Jimmy Fallon, and like,
Oh wow,
yeah, like
okay.
Steve, like super popular. They have like billboards
Yeah,
all
really,
over,
really
yeah,
successful.
LA.
Wow.
And they were talking about this one time where they were at a party, both of them, and it was like the first party they've ever been in LA with like famous people. And then they were looking
Oh
around and
yeah.
going like, should we be here? Like, do we belong
Yeah, like what's
here?
happening?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if this is a place for us. And it's the same thing. It was like the same imposter syndrome, just because like it's your first time being in the space that you're going to be in, and it feels like like it says, like you're an imposter, but
Yeah.
it's just, that's where you're at now. Like, that you are that. And I
Yeah.
think
It
that's,
feels weird.
yeah,
Really does feel
Yeah, and I think it's good that you have that. First of all, it means you're human. Like you're not like a
Yeah,
terrible person. Like
I'm not like a psychopath or
yeah, yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. So that's a good thing that you experience that.
That's checked. Yeah, all
Yeah.
right. That's good.
And second thing, like yeah, it just happens to everybody. You know, everybody that's successful at some point, if they're a normal person, they will have a feeling of like I don't know if I belong here because this is something that somebody else should be doing, not me, because
Yeah,
it
but yeah,
it's just that feeling, you know.
I mean, it feels weird because you see like like what's popular right now are like these big rappers.
Mm.
Like once they make it, they're like, oh yeah, like I got money and fame and like
Yeah, yeah,
and girls and like it's meant to be like I don't give a shit.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
like so it just felt like, oh, I should be that way,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm a game developer, like I got money and girls and everything. Like, that's not how it goes, but it's just like, like just having like a couple of dollars and I felt like horrible,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, the mainstream like isn't really portraying this. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess at the time I was like, why am I feeling this? I don't know. And it wasn't like huge, it wasn't like like I know like some people they get famous like in a day, and they really 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 blow up. And I didn't like really really blow up. It was just like a lot of people like
It was a successful
having
campaign. Yeah.
yeah, it was a successful campaign. It was a small campaign, but it
Uh-huh.
was a successful one. And that took me by surprise, and that simple surprise really affected me emotionally. Yeah.
That's good. That's cool to hear like a little behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then you went to Mega. You went to the Mega
Yeah,
and
well, actually,
uh-huh.
so we were talking about the switch to mobile
Yeah.
from mobile to local multiplayer, right?
Yeah, because that's what the
And
campaign was like focused around. You said like, "Oh, this is a mobile game, but I want to switch it over to a party
yeah,
game," right?
so when Ulul approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to do something with this?" I was like, it kind of snapped me out of my I'm just making a game to make a game, right?
Right.
It really got me into you're making a product that you're going to sell to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made that part of it real. And so to my head, I looked at the product and I was like, I cannot sell that to people because of a lot of reasons. I had made a mobile game in the past. It had not worked. I had plans to put ads in the game. I'm not going to put ads in a game that people are giving me money to make, right?
Right. Right.
It just didn't feel right. And honestly, I was kind of done with the mobile scene at the time with Gameloft and my past mobile game that I had made. And I was like, I want to switch up to something. And I've always loved local multiplayer games. Some of my best gaming experiences are with people like around the TV, like
Right.
drinking beer and just having fun playing a game,
Yeah.
right?
Real
And
quick, real
so,
quick. Name a few of those because I have one. I have
oh, my favorite
mhm.
one is Crawl. I don't
Crowd.
know if you played Crawl, but
Never
it's
heard
the
of it.
best local multiplayer game out there. Like hands down the best local multiplayer game out there. It looks awesome. The pixel art of the game is crazy, but it's just the whole idea of basically like everyone's a ghost, right?
Uh huh.
And someone can possess like some sort of like like Satan sign, whatever, and then they become a monster of their choice. So you have like a pool of monsters that you can choose at the start of the game.
Uh huh.
Then you become one of these monsters, and there's one player that's alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so these ghosts they just want to kill the player because there's one player playing the game. It's super hard to explain the concept. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah. So basically, let's say you're four players, right?
Uh huh.
There's one player on the four players that's gonna be a player. So he's gonna be like a hero with a sword and he needs to fight the dungeon, right?
Right. Uh huh.
And the other players are gonna play as the mobs in the dungeon.
Oh, so there's no actual like NPCs. It's all like player
Yeah,
controlled.
exactly.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
cool.
So it's all player control. So you take controls of these mobs and you try to kill the player because if you kill the player, you are going to like become the player.
Ah,
And
and
the
then the
the goal is to beat the boss of the game. And the boss of the game is one huge enemy that's controlled by all the other players.
Oh, that's sick. That sounds
It's
so cool.
epic. It's such a cool game, and the art is amazing. There, you can unlock a bunch of mobs. You can unlock a bunch of equipment and everything.
Uh-huh.
It's such a cool game, and I had like the best experiences of my life on that game. Really, like super fun game, and I have like a few hours in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I don't have time to play games anymore, but yeah, I love it. It's awesome.
Crawl, that's really cool. What's do you have another one, or was that just like
Well, Smash Bros.
Smash Bros?
Obviously,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
since I've been a kid, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like recently mainstream games have not been local multiplayer. The only one that I can think of is that one cooking game that everybody plays.
Yeah, Overcooked.
Overcooked, that's the one. And
Awesome game.
yeah, it's a cool game, but besides that one game, I cannot think of any other local multiplayer. Like even games like Call of Duty, they
Yeah.
they moved away from that. They still have it, kind of.
Yeah, but it's not the main focus.
Yeah, it's
It used
not
to
the
be
main-
really the core fun of Call of Duty was
Yeah, it was
playing
like sitting
friends home,
down, 1v1ing with one of your friends, or like even having the 4 people like playing on the same TV.
yeah.
And you don't see it anymore. Like it's just not
Yeah.
here.
Well, there's actually a really good reason for that, and it's that the market for it like really died. Uh, so it's actually it's a very bad move to make a local well, actually, I'm gonna say this.
Mhm.
At the time that I started making Planet Cleaners, it was a horrible move. And I learned it along the way, like looking at stats online and everything, and like it was clear to me. I think it's a GDC talk by Mike Rose,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the I think he owns or he works at No More Robots, and they've made awesome games, really popular. And one of his talks, he says like, yeah, well, like if you're making a game right now, like don't make a local multiplayer game. I was like,
whoops, I
like,
didn't mean
shit.
to do that.
And the thing that really cheered me up, like really recently, was the Steam announcing online multiplayer support for every single local multiplayer game.
So it's
on
like,
Steam.
so that's really cool. So that's like they're
Yeah,
backing
I
up
truly believe that's gonna spike up a little bit
the sales.
the local multiplayer scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Just in case people don't know, GDC is the game development convention, and it's just like people from the industry that get together. It's not like E3. It's just like the actual development of games, and that's what GDC is.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome content.
Yeah.
Check out the YouTube.
Yeah, if you're into game development, definitely check out GDC on YouTube. Just type that in, and they have like a whole bunch of people talking about a whole bunch of different things. Speaking of conventions, talking about the Megha.
Yeah. So the Megha at that time. So when I did the campaign, when I started the campaign, I had 2 weeks before the Megha. And I was so focused on the campaign. So I had made the whole campaign pitching that local multiplayer game. But the game was still mobile. I had no prototype whatsoever of the local multiplayer game.
Oh, 2 weeks before?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the Megha had told me, like, all right, you're selected. Like, you're going to the Megha. I looked at it and I was like, I'm such a stupid human being. Like,
that must have been so scary. What the heck?
How dumb can I be? Yeah. So, needless to say, I didn't sleep much during those 2 weeks, and I managed to create a 2v2 prototype.
Or 1v1?
Using the same asset. Yeah, 1v1. Yeah, sorry, 1v1. Yeah. So a 2-player prototype, and like I remember I think like a day before like getting it working in a Starbucks. I think I talk about that.
Yeah, you talk about that story. Yeah. You were in a Starbucks. And go ahead.
I was. I was at a Starbucks, and I just had the local multiplayer game working, like little prototype 1v1, and I was like, shit, I need footage for the Megha. Like, I need footage for the campaign. I need something out there right now. And at the time, it was like one of my first posts on Reddit. But yeah, I needed to record gameplay. I had 2 controllers, but I couldn't play both controllers at the same time. So I just asked like a random dude next to me, like, "Hey, do you know how to play video games?" He was like, "Not really." And I was like, "All right, can you take that controller and press on buttons? And it was like, yeah, sure. He actually had a fun time playing. I was super thrilled.
That's cool.
And yeah,
That's a funny story. Hey, you know how to play games? No. Oh, you can help me anyways. Come over.
that's definitely one of the situations when I had to like step out of my comfort zone and like, like I feel like I'd be down for it if I was like a random guy at Starbucks and someone was like, "Yo, do you want to play my game?" Like, oh, yeah, sure. Fine.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool thing to get off with. Like, yo, okay, shit, in the middle of urine right now.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, but so props to that guy. That was amazing. And so I did get footage of the game. So yeah, the Megha, the game, like I had good response, with the game, but an awesome event, really awesome event. No impact whatsoever on the campaign, though.
Yeah,
and that's something I think I talk about in one of my videos. And I had a lot of people from the industry actually backing that up, writing to me and say, yeah, definitely, like that's something like you don't like going in events like the Megha or things like that has no impact on sales. It has no impact on visibility or almost none.
Do you think that's only for like indies, or do you think that's for like AAAs as well? Because thinking about it, I think it kind of does make sense, because if you're an indie developer and the people go into like a game convention like that, like the Megha, and then they go in, they don't really remember like, oh, what was that one indie? I don't really care, whatever.
Yeah.
And with like bigger games, if somebody wants to buy it, like they're gonna buy it. Like it doesn't really
Yeah, so I feel like people go there for the thrill of the event,
right, and not really.
But yeah, and they're gonna pick up your card. I had cards done with the Hulu and everything. They're gonna take it. Like I like a lot of cards were passed during that event, but they get so much cards. Imagine like going back home, you have like 30 cards of 30 different games that you tried.
You're not gonna keep them.
Like you're just, what are you gonna do with 30 cards? Like I have a friend, every time he goes to conventions, he just like take these cards and he just like he makes cuts to roll cigarettes with it. Like that's all he does. Yeah, because like what are you gonna do with all those cards?
It's just so much. So you were at the Megha, but I in the video you said that it was really helpful, because even though you didn't get any more extra sales, you did get a lot of really good inputs on the design of the game.
That's the only reason to go into events, is because you get so much feedback instantly, and one of the things I talk about this in my first devlog actually.
That was about the girl.
Little girl.
Yeah, the girl.
Little girl coming to my stand. She was like, "Oh, I want to play this. This looks cute." And her mom's like, "Yeah, sure. Take the controller. Like, have fun." And she got so pissed because she couldn't figure out how the game was working. She just took my controller and she freaking threw it all across the room. I was watching that. I was like, I wasn't even mad. I was like, I totally feel you. Like, wow. Like, she was so frustrated. She was red. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, I need to do something about the controls. And yeah, that controller's dead now, by the way. Like,
you said in the video that it didn't die. It was still working. Wow.
Yeah, no, but it died through time. Like, I think. I don't know if it's from. I don't think it's from the hit. Actually, I think it's from like the cord just died. It survived a while. I was surprised. Yeah, but
that's so funny. I remember. I remember watching that. I was like, "That's it. That's such a great story." Just like, and that's something that you don't think about, especially if you're making something. It's so hard to look at your thing with fresh eyes. Like it's almost like impossible. I think usability testing. I don't know what you call it. Play testing.
It really struck me because I think that's one of the things I changed the most in the game. The controls. Like I really changed the controls a lot. Like at least 10 times.
Yeah, because I remember watching footage of the game initially before, because the aiming system looking at it looked really hard, because we'll have footage of it on screen, but it's like this little character running around the planet, and at the time at the Megha, right, you could still control the aim and also the control of the guy at the same time, and it makes sense, like thinking of it like on paper, but actually when you get your hands on the controller, because there's a few games like that. There's this one game called Geometry. like a geometry game where you're playing this little, like a little ship running around and you just shoot at blocks, and it's the
Oh,
same.
okay.
Yeah, it's the same concept. You move one stick to move the your character, which is just like a
Yeah,
triangle,
yeah, yeah,
and then you move the other stick to shoot in the direction you want to shoot.
yeah,
The first time I played that, I was like, "Yo, this is impossible." And I play like a lot
yeah.
of console
Super
games,
hard.
like it's so hard. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like, yeah. So I actually, that's like, I have no like that was my idea. Like, it was one of my teachers that was at the Mega, and he showed up and he was like, "Why do I have to aim?" I was like, I looked at him and I was like, like what? Like,
What do you
you
mean?
need to shoot stuff. Like, of course you have to aim. Like,
Right.
and you're like, he's a game designer. Like, he's worked in tons of
You're so
companies.
confused.
I looked at him. I was like,
Are,
what?
are you stupid? You taught me.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
yeah. And so he said like, why don't I just shoot upwards? And I was like, holy shit, you're right. You know, like it seemed so obvious. And I swear that teacher, it's always that.
Yeah.
He comes, he looks at your game, 2 seconds afterwards is like, why does that exist? And you're like,
Oh my
why does
god.
that exist?
Well,
Like, why did I
you're
do
so
that? Like,
right.
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
thought you were stupid, but
yeah.
you know what? You're right.
Yeah, yeah. No, awesome. Like, awesome teacher.
Yeah.
Really, like, if someone made me like understood this, it's him. It's like, you really need to show your games to other people because they're gonna look at it and with such a different perspective
With
than
fresh
you
eyes.
have. And yeah, it's crazy how people just make the most weird comments that seems weird for you, but then like if you really think about it, there's like, oh my god, like people are so smart.
Yeah.
And people have like, even people that like I get the best ideas from people that like have no idea how to make games, you know?
hmm
Like they look at it and they're just like, but why does that exist? And you're like, but because it exists in every other single games out there. But they're
Yeah.
like, but yeah, but why is it there? And you're like, yeah, why is it there? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, people are really smart. And I think that's the thing. Like, some people think that they know best for their games,
Yeah.
and I think that kills a lot of games
Yeah.
out there.
I think that's actually a really important note to hit is like somebody doesn't have to know how to make something in order to know how to make something better. And I hear like a
Yeah,
lot,
definitely.
yeah, I hear a lot of like small time people, like creators, like people that make like YouTube videos, or like people that like that are making their first product, and then they get feedback for the first time. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. What? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, you're not in this industry. You're like working as an accountant, and like that doesn't matter, because like if you're making a movie, for example, and then somebody looks
Yeah,
at it and says, "Oh, that's not good." They don't have to be a movie maker. They watch movies. Like
yeah.
yeah,
Of course,
that's all they
especially
need
with
to do.
movies or visual. Yeah,
Yeah, like
like my videos, like I have tons of people like, you know, like giving feedback, and a lot of people that have seen my evolution and telling me like, oh yeah, that's really cool what you've moved into or what you changed and everything. And I feel like people really have a good eye on,
yeah, and
like, yeah, and people often don't realize how important their view is.
yeah, it's
And
very
that's why like you really have to go to, like, people are not just going to comment and say like what they think of your stuff. You really got to tell them like, yeah, but what do you think?
what
Like don't be afraid to destroy my like
you
person.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just, yeah.
Break me down, make me cry. I want you to make me cry. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like it's really, really, really important to separate your what you are, the person that you are, from the work that you're creating.
hmm
That's like the first thing you need to do if you're making any type of art
hmm
or program or whatever.
There's this
Just like,
book, I forgot what the book was, but there's this term that the author uses. It says killing your babies. Um,
oh,
yeah, you know what I'm
I've
talking
heard
about?
that
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
I've never read the book, but I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically the concept of like when you're making something, you're putting so much time and so much effort like you have into your game, and you
Yeah.
think everything that you make, you spend so much time on it, like there's no way it can be bad, but you have to step back and then look at the things that you created, like your babies, and then you have to get
Yeah,
rid of them,
definitely.
like kill them
Of
off.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in games, like, you know, when you spend so much time on a mechanic or something that you think works great, or that you just made because you thought like for example the aiming mechanic. Like, you know, I spent a lot of time, you know, it's quaternions, it's maths, you know, it's figuring stuff out, and I spent a lot of time on it at the time because, you know, I'm not a programmer. Like I haven't studied programming. You know, I've had some courses on how to program, and I've learned a lot on YouTube, but I'm not a professional programmer. And so making these types of mechanics takes me a while, and just having someone to tell you like, why the hell do I need to aim? You know, it's just like, dude, like I spent
so much time
like
on
10
that.
hours on this, like,
And then
you know, like, or something, and you're like, like, it's not personal. It's objectively a very interesting comment, and it's totally valid, and I totally took it into consideration and like changed it. But like when you first receive it, it's like shit. Like,
dude, fuck, hey, whoa, hey, fuck you! You don't know what you're talking. I made that. Like,
yeah. But that's where you need to like really try to put yourself into the mind of others and look at it as a new player, almost. Yeah.
And I think that the way that I like to look at it is like, if you really do care about the thing that you're making, you have to care enough to understand when something isn't making it good, you know? Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, and that's a good mentality to have. And I think you actually, maybe it's because you spent that time in Paris, but you actually, I feel like you take feedback better than most. Because I feel like if somebody told somebody else that, they would go like, no. First of all, no. Second of all, you don't know what you're talking about. And third of all, I'm making the game. And you don't seem like you do that like at all. Like you're like actually craving that criticism.
Yeah, I take that as a big compliment. Yeah, because it's really important to me. And, you know, like I have, you know, like one of the, in life in general, like how I want to evolve as a human being, like for me, introspection is really like
important.
One of the most important thing in my life. And like I really, when anything bothers me, or when anything like gets into my head, like I really take the time to sit down and like, okay, why am I feeling this? Why is this bothering me? And whether it be it in game projects or relationships with people or whatever, you know, that's something that I try to do like in every aspect of my life, and I think that has really helped me in game development.
Yeah, it's a really good trait to have. It's really, really good. So you went to the Megha, you got a lot of good feedback off of it, and then you went back home.
And one of the most common feedback, well, actually not really, but I feel like that's something that people really don't want to say. And I'm talking about the art comment of hey, your pixel, like the mechanics. That's something that I heard like once or twice during the Megha. Right? The mechanics are really cool, but I'm not sure about the art.
Yeah.
And I heard it twice, but it really got to my head, you know, because some people really played the game, really enjoyed it, and then they were like, "This is awesome! I'm playing now," and they were bringing their friends over, and they're like, "Oh, let's play this," and then they would go away and not take information or whatever about the game, and I was like, "Why are they doing that?" And it's actually someone in the industry that came up and tried the game and said, like, "Hey, that's a really cool thing you have, but it looks like shit." And they didn't they didn't say it like that, but that's always the way I really try when I get feedback from people that are trying to be too nice. In my head, I always make like the worst version that could have been,
because that's what they're really thinking, right?
Yeah, well that's not really necessarily what they think, but that's how I need to preserve it, you know? So like if someone tells me, "Oh, you know, like maybe you should make the pixel art a little bit more like that, or maybe you should make it like this, or maybe, you know, like or actually actual comment I get a lot is, "Oh, maybe you should pay a professional to make your art," you know? And well, I don't have money. I did have a successful campaign, but that's not enough to pay a professional artist, right? So that comment, I was like, all right, I really had that on my mind. And so I came back. I kept working on the project. I remember very correctly when I had that idea. I was in the metro. I was waiting, probably going to see some friends. And I was really like in a down, you know, you have ups and downs. And I was really in the down. I was like, I don't know where this project is going, whatever. And I had just watched I think it's a documentary on indie games, and I was talking about that guy that was remaking Mortal Kombat.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
with the
remember
green screens.
I think it's yeah, with the green screen. I
Yeah.
think it's on Steam. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but it's really, really a cool one. And that guy was just having so much fun, with a green screen remaking Mortal Kombat with his friends, and I was like, shit, that's really cool, And I went in the metro and I was waiting to go and see some friends, and it came to me like I should just do the same thing, Like I know, like I've had fun with art all my life, trying stuff out, and I've never been like actually good at it. Like I've done some pretty some decent things, but nothing worth sharing or putting time and effort into to create something better.
I think there was a
And
way you
that's
put
how
that where you said like I was okay at it, but you said this where it's not something I would put on Steam. That I thought that was a good
definitely
way to phrase that.
That's the way I saw my game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I was seeing my game right now. At that time, I was like, yeah, it's okay visually, it's okay, but I wouldn't put that art on Steam. Like it wouldn't catch the eye, and people wouldn't care, and it would just be another Steam game,
So for me, I think the idea of green screen and Play-Doh are so far apart. Like, how did you get there? Like, I would not.
Really?
I would not think Play-Doh.
That was actually a very natural.
Really, for you?
Thought for me, because I was like, I'm definitely not gonna put myself on screen. And if I tried to make like a realistic version of my game, it would be like so disturbing. Like, and I'm the kind of person that loves that kind of stuff. Like if I had made like actual pictures of planets and actual people, like naked people, like running around the planet, like with pictures, like I would have loved to make that game, but like there's no it's a super small niche, so I like weird things in life, and to me I was like, what can I use to create that's going to be original and that's going to catch the eye and that I can use with a green screen, and it needs to be very, like I need to be able to, I don't know, like easily transform it and kind of
malleable,
easily transform it. Yeah. So at first I thought of Legos, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, but I mean, I don't know. It just felt kind of restrictive. I wanted something more malleable, and so I went with Play-Doh. Oh, so that's the second thing that popped to my head.
Oh, really? So it was only the second thing. I would have thought, just maybe it's just because I'm in a different mindset when it comes to things like that. If I were in your position, I'm not saying you did the wrong thing. I'm saying like I probably would have done the wrong thing, where I would have just probably tried to draw it myself, and I would have not even thought of like what's something else that I could do. And I think Play-Doh, it's just like it's such a huge leap from what I would have done, and I just thought it would have taken you like a few iterations to try to get to that point. But it's really
something like visually cool. Well, I think so too. Like looking back at it, like a lot of people, I made a video where I kind of, it's not a rant, but it's like, hey, like you can make cool games even if you suck at art.
And I saw that video as well. I watched all of your videos, by the way.
I'm glad you did. Like, means a lot, thanks. But yeah, I had I think, and that's actually the video I have that has the most views. And I think it's because it's kind of controversial in a way, because that's the video where I had the most like comments that were going in the opposite direction of what I was saying. Like a lot of people told me like, oh, you're just like, oh, you should have just hired an artist. Like, and I get the comments. I get it. Like, yeah, I know there's a bunch of artists out there that are looking for jobs, but like
you can't afford it.
I'm a kid. Like I live with my parents. Like I don't have money to pay an artist. And I had actual comments of people saying like almost like I was a horrible person for not giving money to people, right, to
Yeah,
make art.
yeah,
And it
no.
was selfish to try and make art by myself. And I was like, wait, let me get this straight. Like, I need to get broke so that I can, like, that doesn't make any
It doesn't
sense.
make any sense.
I suck at programming. I'm not paying a programmer either,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's so easy and I get it, like you've studied art and everything. It's really easy to think of like, oh, I got great skills, and there's so many good artists out there that
Mhm.
aren't getting the jobs that they want, and I totally get that. And like I really hope that and I truly believe that the video games industry is going to grow, and these people will find jobs, and it's going to be, but it's also going to be more common. Like becoming an artist today is easier than it ever was before,
Yeah, I
as
think
becoming a
yeah.
programmer or becoming a game designer. Like making games is something that is so accessible now that you really gotta create something different to catch the attention of
Yeah.
people. And that's why I thought that creating a game out of Play-Doh was an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. It's like really like out there. I've never seen anything like it. I know you mentioned that there was
Well,
this like film, like a short film that was kind of like it where they made out of Play-Doh. And I think you even mentioned there was other games that were made out of Play-Doh also.
yeah, I was shocked because when I started sharing my first versions on Reddit of that Play-Doh style
Hmm.
Play-Doh art, um, I had a lot of comments like, "Oh, it reminds me of that game." Never. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Like I
So
never
I
heard of
checked I
it.
checked it out on YouTube, and I was like, "Shit! Like it's exactly what I made. Like it's clay art." And that was made by Microsoft, I think, in like way back. Like I wasn't even born when that thing was made.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like people are gonna think I'm a ripoff. And I've looked at other like people like saying, oh, that game, like Clay Jam mobile game, and I was like, wait, what? And then I looked at it. Wow, it's exactly like
Same, yeah.
And so obviously, and the world is huge.
Uh-huh.
Like a lot of people have ideas, and it's like now it's obvious to me that like that's something that people had thought of before. But
It's not,
the thing
yeah.
that I love right now with that medium that because like some people told me like, oh, you shouldn't make that art video because people are gonna rip you off and they're gonna make other clay games,
Like that's already happened, bro. Like
and
everybody's made something already.
yeah, and I'm like, I'm the one ripping people off, like as far as I'm concerned, like, and and like if I look at every single game that has been made in clay art right now, none of them look the same,
Yeah.
and that's what made me realize like it's such an under like used medium that I don't really care. Like people can make games in clay if they want. It would be so cool
To see
to
more.
have to this becoming as mainstream as pixel art.
Yeah, that would be. I think that's a really good idea. I think it's maybe not as accessible as pixel art because
Yeah,
because pixel art is just on the computer. With clay, you actually have to go out and get stuff. Um,
yeah,
but there,
definitely.
yeah,
But I think in general it's much more accessible than
and
people think.
yeah, and you made that comment that actually like making it yourself out of clay is actually a lot faster than doing it by art because with art you said this you have to spend years and years on becoming an actual artist and that's
Yeah.
like it's such a big it may seem like getting that time investment making that clay is bigger but it's actually like a
Yeah,
shorter way
of
to
course.
yeah.
If I wanted to create like a very, like polished game in traditional 2D art or 3D, uh it would take me a lot of time. I don't know, like definitely more time than I spent on the clay art. I think people like overestimate like how much time it takes. Like it really doesn't take that much time.
I did want to ask you a little bit about the clay art just because you didn't really talk about it. I couldn't find it anywhere. How long did it take you to like actually get that art right? Because I noticed in a few shots in the beginning, there was
Yeah.
you still had that green hue around the edges, and
Yeah.
then later on I didn't see that green hue anymore. Like how much?
Yeah, that's time spent on. So when there was the green hue, I was testing out different ways to remove the green screen,
Mm-hmm,
right? And I think honestly, there's always the green on every single frame.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and people that are actual photographs told me like how to remove that and how to like take pictures without this and that and everything. And I'll go ahead and say this, like I'm going to ignore those comments because right now I'm so far into development that if I try to apply these things, it's gonna end up taking more time than if I actually learned art, right?
Wait, if
Because if I apply, like if I make claymation the way professionals do for claymation films or whatever, obviously that's an insane process that takes years and years of perfection. I'm not gonna say that I've perfected an art, right?
Right.
What I've done is take a binder, tear it apart, put pieces of Play-Doh on it, and take pictures with a camera. And then why the green hue isn't there anymore is because of post process.
Oh, yeah.
That's really the main reason.
So it didn't really take that long to perfect that, like the whole like.
Yeah, really, that was really fast. Well, I mean, it was fast because when I first discovered that it could look cool, I really took like I think a whole week of just like playing around with it, taking a bunch of pictures, rendering them in Unity, and looking at what it looked like. And like if you have like a game made in pixel art and then you have one thing made out of clay, you really quickly want to get everything made out of clay because it's gonna look way much better, right?
So what was the first thing that you made out of clay? So I'm assuming that you made one thing out of clay and then you imported and switched out the assets for the sprites, I think.
Yeah. So it was the 1v1 prototype. It was still like the same like lame prototype. Like it was decent, but it wasn't nothing crazy. And the first thing I did was take some red clay, put it on my table, just squish it so it makes a round circle, take a picture of it, and then import it in Unity.
So that was the first thing?
And planets for that red thing, yeah.
Wow.
I think there's footage of it online, yeah.
Is it really?
But it's just like, it's really just a red circle, Yeah.
So once you saw that red circle, it's like, yo, I got it. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Well, it was so crisp. Like visually. Compared to the pixel art. I was like, you know what? Even if I'm really bad at making like little clay dudes and little clay worms or whatever, it's still gonna be so unique that people are gonna like it's gonna interest the eye,
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna be eye catching.
It's gonna eye catching, definitely.
Yeah.
So I was like, even if I'm as bad as I am at pixel art making clay stuff, it's still gonna look decent. So, and that's something that I'm comfortable putting on Steam. And so when that got through my mind, I was like, all right, the whole game's gonna be made out of this, and I'm making that right now.
Yeah. That's really cool. That, like I said, it's a cool concept. It's something that I would have not thought of. There was something you said in that video also where you said maybe people could make something out of wood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
That would be really cool. Are you gonna do that?
That would be really cool. No, I'm not doing that. I think I'm gonna try and think about other kind of art forms that I could use to make video games. I really think that the video game medium is so new that there's so many things that haven't been done yet that people could really explore. Also, like, and I know people they've come up to me and they're like, oh, that's really cool. You know what? I'm trying to 3D scan stuff and make games out of it now and everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely something doable too. And there's so many things that you can do now that like 3D scan stuff sounds something insane, but you can't just take your smartphone and do it.
Yeah, 3D scan, that's when you take pictures of something and then overlay it on top of a model inside of the...
Yeah, you can just download like a program on your cell phone. I don't know the name, but you just take a bunch of pictures and it's going to render a model of whatever you've done.
Oh, really? You don't even have to you don't even have to build the model out? You just take pictures of it?
Yeah, you just take pictures of it and it renders a model.
Whoa,
I don't know the name of it. Someone talked to me about that, but yeah, and I've seen it like in action. It's crazy. You can do so many stuff right now and people just don't pay attention to it. They just think like, what's popular right now? Oh, pixel art. I'm going to do pixel art. And like, well, yeah, good luck. Like
trying to break out of that a million other people making pixel art.
Everyone's doing pixel art, dude. Like, yeah. But Crawl is an awesome Like Crawl is a game made in pixel art,
Yeah, I
and
like that you said
no,
crawl. You brought up crawl. It's a
it's just
pixel art
like
game.
it's so visually cool. Like the animation of Crawl is crazy. It
Uh-huh.
looks crazy.
Was that the
I've never seen
little?
something like it.
Is that the little animation that you included in your video of that little monster like
Yeah, the
blowing
little
up?
like monster like
Yeah,
exploding
yeah.
with
Oh, that's
out
what
of
it
blood.
was.
Yeah,
Oh, it's from this game, Crawl. I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah, it looks awesome. Yeah, maybe I should start it included in my videos, like the name of the games. Like, also like in that same video, I mentioned a game made like with like a lot of shaders,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
had
I
a lot
saw
of
that
people
game
like
too.
asking.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
actually wanting to ask you like, what game is that? Because it looked
yeah. That's
really
called
interesting.
Rewired. That's
Rewired.
the I think that's the name of the game. Let me check.
Because I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's a really interesting looking game. Like,
Yeah, that game is like on another level.
yeah, it's so
Oh no,
like,
Rewired. No, I'm Rewired is the input thing I'm using for my
oh
game.
yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
what's the
yeah.
name of
That's
that
a
game?
yeah. The rewire was because you say you didn't
Yeah,
like the
kind of was.
built-in Unity
What's the name of that
input
game?
system.
Yeah, it's something about hacking. Like, damn it. I've actually it was asked on my comments. Like, you can easily find it on.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll
You know,
look it up. I'll put the
after
name.
I'll try to look it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll look it up. I'll put the name up on there on screen if you want to check it out. It's like a game made out of shaders. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
really
It's
the
what?
word, yeah, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth in the word that you use. You said that it looked really juicy. What does that mean? What does juicy mean?
Oh, that's something that yeah, that's something that was really like my teachers in
Is that an
what's the name?
industry term that
Paris.
people say, juicy?
Yeah, yeah, juicy. Yeah, yeah. People always use that,
Oh,
and
juicy.
it's been yeah, juicy or yeah. No, well, it's you have things called sign and feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you indicate the player what's going on in the game. For example, if a player or enemy gets hit,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna see like blood splatter or whatever, and that's feedback, right?
Uh-huh.
Because it's the feedback from the input you just made of hitting that enemy or receiving damage, and making it juicy means that these aspects of the game are really put out there, so you really see that there's an impact when you're hitting
There's
someone,
oh, so there's
right?
like really a
Or
lot
when
of
something's happening, the signs and feedback are clear, and what juicy means is like not only they are clear, but they're really
they're
satisfying. You know,
satisfying. Okay, so it's like a satisfying big thing. It's like it's feedback. It's big and
it's
satisfying.
basically talking to your player, like saying information about what's going on to the game to
And
your player
in a really
in a
satisfying way.
satisfying. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. So that's something, yeah. That's something that when I heard, I was like juicy. Like that's such a strange term to put out there. I didn't know it was an industry term. That's
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you look there's a lot of videos about people talking to about like how to make something juicy
juicy.
or how
Yeah.
to emphasize like your signs and feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's speaking of like things that are normal in the industry. I was watching another video about this thing that you were talking about. It was a loop. It was a habit loop. It was
Yep.
OCR, I think it was.
OCR. Yeah.
Yeah.
So objective, challenge, and reward.
Yeah. So, and the something that struck me was that that concept, it was somehow linked to a book. It was called The Power of Habits, and The Power of Habits is not a game development book at all. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a self-improvement book. And when you said that, I was like, whoa, that's such a strange thing to reference when you're making a game is a book about self-help.
Yeah.
How much influence do you get from things outside of the game industry? Like how much? Well, yeah, like
Yeah. I mean, that was a very how can I say this? That really struck me because I read a lot of self-improvement books.
mhm.
That's something that I really love, and when I first heard of OCRs, it was really in the industry, in
Mhm.
studying game design,
Right.
and at the time I was like, wow, like game designers are so smart, like they figured that out like all by themselves and
Yeah.
everything. And eventually, like I really started to get into psychology and reading those kind of books.
Mhm.
And when I was like looking at this, I was like, wait, like game designers just ripped off psychology. Like they literally didn't invent anything.
Yeah.
Like that stuff existed since like freaking years. Like, and so
So-
it got me thinking, like you know what, like game design is basically psychology. Like it's just you just need to understand how the human brain works and use that to your advantage. And I think like a fun fact, like I think like Fortnite is actually getting sued
yeah,
over
yeah,
getting
for
people addicted through these methods.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Because I know that there was I don't know if Facebook was actually a part of that too a few years ago where they were like getting sued for the same reason for making it too addicting. I saw what you
Yeah.
were talking about also about Fortnite getting sued for making it purposely addicting for children. Um
Yeah.
I never really got that, to be honest. Like I don't like Fortnite. Like it was so boring. It's so
Yeah.
slow for me. I don't get it. I
Yeah.
don't get
Yeah.
the appeal of Fortnite.
But I mean, like, it's just the fact they're suing because Fortnite got really big, but that's actually a subject that's been around for a while now. And I have a great friend that I made in Paris that really got into that subject and sent me some articles or like studies, like whole like university studies that were proving like and trying to show like, oh, like Call of Duty, whenever you play Call of Duty, like it's actually destroying some parts of your brain because it's overstimulated, right? And
Yeah,
your
yeah. Like the
the human body isn't made to receive so much gratification so quickly.
mhm.
And so it actually, that's why, it kills your attention that's why like people, they click away like 2 minutes in the
Mhm.
video or 10 seconds in,
So
is
you
because
mhm.
social media, everything is destroying the way we live life, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a part of evolution. That's how I like to see it. But yeah.
I think I heard some people talking about it before where like um we develop technology so much faster than we're able to live in it. So
Yeah.
we're still like evolution takes so long to go to happen. So we as people should still be like in like the caveman era where we're still hunting out for food because people like
Yeah.
obesity is a big issue because we have so much access to food whenever we want. Like we don't have to go out and hunt for it. And social media is bringing in so much like depression because we're not built to be around a social pressure and we're not built to interact with people with having anonymity at the same time. So it's like on
Yeah.
both ends. And it's just this concept of just like we as humans are not ready to live in the world that we built because we're not advanced enough for it. And I think
Yeah,
that's
I mean that's one way to see it, but like saying that yeah, and this is gonna go very deep
uh-huh.
outside of the video game.
That's a good
I'm really fascinated about a lot of things in life, and uh, I had like Elon Musk I think it was is it Joe Rogan, I think,
podcast.
interview where
Yeah,
he
yeah.
smoked weed and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
made like a whole big thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he actually said like some really cool, interesting stuff in that interview, and he said like talking about AI, he said like the best way we can approach like artificial intelligence in the future would be to connect it to our brains, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only way we could survive
Mm-hmm.
through evolution itself, because the AI and internet and all these computers and technology is starting to evolve faster than we can handle. And if we don't take this technology and plug it into our brain, we're not going to be able to process all that evolution, and we're going to basically the technology is going to take over us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was super interesting, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
like,
I feel like
and like, yeah.
yeah, in a way it's kind of already happening. Like I said, like we're not able to keep up with what we're doing.
Yeah.
There's something he said that was really interesting to me in the same podcast actually, where he said if you think about it, we're kind of already at that point where we're already
Yeah, because
integrating.
we already have the cell phones.
Yeah, we already
That
have
was
the cell
awesome.
phones, right? And the only thing that's different from putting a chip in your brain and having a cell phone is the time that it takes to get that information. Because right now,
Exactly.
if you look something up, Everyone is a genius now, because if you don't know something, literally just pull out your phone, check Google, and now you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Yeah, that
interaction.
really struck to me too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. Like, you're so right. Like, that's great.
No.
It
Yeah, I
takes like,
remember I was super shooked as well.
yeah.
I was watching this guy. That guy's a genius, and that's so like I need a chip in my brain right now. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And when you
definitely.
said that, I was like, yo, that's so right. Like, we're already there. We just need the time to be faster. Like, because what he's
Yeah,
talking about is like milliseconds. What we already have is like minutes. Just look something up, and a
yeah,
minute later we already know. It was
yeah.
so cool. I wanted to ask you, the reason why I brought up that book was, what are some resources outside of game development, like that has nothing to do with game development, that you would recommend to people to, like, hey, check this out, like it.
Yeah, whew, that's hard because I'm interested in so many things. I
Mm-hmm,
mean, like of course I could go and say like check out how music is made,
mm-hmm,
like the structure of creating music or creating any type of art. You can approach. I don't want to give like that's the thing with game design and schools and is that and that's one thing that I really liked about is art too is that the teachers were really like we're giving you guidelines about how games have been made in the past years, but like it's still an underdeveloped medium, right? And
mm-hmm,
there's a lot of ways you can explore that medium. I actually made there's one game I made that I was very emotionally kind of broken when I thought of that game. I just woke up and I was really not in a good place in my life,
mm-hmm.
and I actually made a whole game in a day.
Whoa.
Um, with I woke up with a concept to, of course, there's like a mechanic in it, but it's way more like a walking simulator.
Uh-huh.
But it just like I kind of threw that game on my computer. Like you just randomly make a drawing on a piece of paper, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's something that's doable. And it's not. It was completely out of everything that I had learned in school, right? It was so I think like I wouldn't really reference anything outside of game development, but I'd say that instead of looking at things outside to create a game, you need to just really look at what a game is exactly and try to approach it in the way you would approach anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um that's it's a bit hard to explain, but
Like trying
I
to get the conventions of a regular game and not following it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of like if you look at how paintings have been made, like people used to be like, "Oh, you need to something really realistic and everything," and
Mm-hmm.
like then eventually people say like, "You know what? No, I can express something with like bunch of paint wherever on the thing."
Yeah, yeah, like,
People
like
when
abstract.
people first saw that, they were really shook, and I think it's the same with video games. Like it's a medium like that it's the richest medium out there because it combines sound, visuals, and the biggest part of it is interactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so many ways to approach all of these things that I don't know. I feel like saying like, oh, that particular book or that particular thing or that type of music or whatever gives me ideas or
Mm-hmm.
whatever wouldn't necessarily help people out. My the biggest advice I can give is try to approach it in a different way that everyone's telling you to. And yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So just
uh,
like thinking about
like,
it in a
and
different way.
just to be clear about it, like Planet Cleaners really is like a mainstream type of game. It's a bunch of mechanics, it's one system, and it works fine, and people are gratified for doing certain tasks. And I really look at it as a. It's not really a artsy game. It's more like an it's more like a systemic game with an interesting art style.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the video game medium is underexploited and that there's so many things to do in it that
Yeah, yeah.
we can make more than just video games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really cool. Just thinking about things in a different way, because like you said, we've been. How long have we as people been making games? Like 40 years.
Yeah, few years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
that's
like,
nothing.
yeah,
That is nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
40 years in the grand
And
scheme.
like video games are starting. They're just starting to be like accepted
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this.
recently, only recently. I think only in
You
like the
know?
past decade. Like when I was in high school, like if you played video games,
Yeah.
like yo, bro, like, come on.
I know. And
Yeah.
still now, like, like I teach kids how to make video games in high schools, right? That's
Uh-huh.
one of my jobs.
Uh-huh.
And so I go there and I show them how to make games. And um I think was it yesterday? No, it was today, actually. Today. I
Uh-huh.
went and I need to, like kids, they sign up and they talk about like, oh, I really like it and I'd love to be part of that project over the year and make a game while I'm in high school and everything. And a lot of kids I heard, they were saying like, oh yeah, I spent way too much time on video games, and like, but they were signing up to create games,
Uh-huh.
but they didn't think like, wait, that's an actual thing.
Yeah.
And when I was in front of them and saying like, you can actually make that for a living, like it's like making cinema, like, and cinema is really, society like now sees the value in cinema and like
Yeah.
videos and things like that. But I feel like it's going to be the same thing with video games. Like it's going to take time.
Yeah, for it to be
People are
accepted.
going to find, people are going to see it as a way to express themselves. The day people are going to look at video games as a way to express themselves, it's gonna be game changing.
Yeah, that's a really good note. Like, how was the process of learning Discord? Because I feel like I'm very much in the same boat of me not understanding social media. Like
Yeah,
I'm like such an old man with social media. I don't get it. Like I
yeah,
made a
yeah,
Twitter. Reddit is like the thing that I use the most, just because it's the least social media ish out of all of them. I kind of just like
yeah.
respond to people. I don't really post
It's the
much.
best,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the best.
and I just never really understood Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. It's just
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Um.
So how was the process of like starting to learn like Discord and all these other things, all these other platforms?
So how I approached it is really simple. Is I just made a bunch of accounts
Mm-hmm.
on a bunch of social media, and I just started playing around with it. And like I said, it's going back at put yourself in comfortable positions, and maybe like at start you're gonna tweet stuff that people don't tweet, and because it's just not how Twitter works, and people are gonna be like, what the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but maybe also it's something different that people are going to like, and they're gonna say, hey, I haven't seen that on Twitter yet, or same on Reddit, and there's same on Discord. It's always that thing of like approaching something new. And if you never tweet, you're never gonna get a response from people, and you're never gonna know if it works or not.
Mm-hmm.
So just get a Twitter, tweet stuff, look how it works out, and try different things. Same with Discord. I actually had a good friend of mine that uses Discord a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually the moderator of Planet Cleaners. He posts a bunch of memes, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
um, but but yeah, he really helped me like look at how Discord works and channels and stuff. And I actually been playing more with Discord lately. I've been adding bots and stuff for
Mm-hmm.
a beta of the game that's coming on soon. But yeah, I've been adding bots and looking at how bots work, because bots are a huge part of Discord.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even
And
know
so,
that. I don't know how
yeah,
Discord
yeah.
works at
Well,
all.
basically, it's like fake people that join your Discord, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can manage them in like different websites, and they're gonna do different stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
I
you
know what
need
a
to,
bot is, but I just don't know how
yeah, yeah.
big it is being a
Oh,
part
in
of.
Discord, yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's basically like the whole Discord is basically like super simple if you don't have bots, but then you can add bots, and you can code your own bots. Like I've seen people do like messed up stuff. Actually, like Mike Rose actually made a talk about that for what's the name of that game? It's like a 90s internet simulation.
90s
And
internet.
they made a bot. It's a GGC talk. You need to check that out. It's
Oh,
really
okay.
awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and he talks about how he made a bot, or he paid someone to make a bot that made an internet simulation inside the Discord server.
Whoa, that sounds crazy.
So yeah, it's messed up. People could create website that would be a channel, and they could put stuff in it, and they would see like how many visitors would go and everything. It was like, and he said, like, looking back, like, I think that was a bit insane, but it just goes like to show like how far you can go with Discord.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's awesome to have a tool like Discord that is super mainstream now, but that is really, really maneuverable. Like you can really like modify it however you want, right?
Yeah.
And like Skype is super restrictive, compared to Discord. Discord, you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the future of social media, and I think Discord has nailed it. It's like,
Oh, that
let people create whatever they want, right?
yeah. Yeah, Discord is like I said, to me it's just like a blank canvas, and I didn't know that bots were such a big thing on Discord.
Yeah, but I think that's why Discord is super confusing at first.
Yeah, so you built your community, you started posting stuff, and now we're getting to the end. Not to the end. We're getting closer to the end. You have a demo. You're like you mentioned that you were putting out a demo soon,
Yeah.
and how close to the end of the game development process do you think you are?
Oof. That's a hard one. Yeah.
I've there's this
Honestly,
thing.
I
Sorry.
have no clue. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's this thing that people always say where, like, if you give some like a creative person something, they can literally work on it forever. Like
Yeah.
like there's always something more that you could add or take away or change.
Yeah. No product is finished.
Yeah, no product is ever finished. So you don't know how close you are, because I feel like you've made a lot of progress now.
It's definitely something that scares me because I've read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I really recommend that book, by the way. If I have recommendations to make, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, awesome book, and awesome author as well. And check out his Twitter. I don't know his name, but he's awesome.
Okay. I'll look it up. I'll put it up on the screen right now.
Yeah. It's really interesting. It's it was the guy that made Stardew Valley. He worked like 5 years on it, I think. And he was living on the money of his girlfriend, and he was just saying, like, every single day, like, like, one more week, one more month, like 2 more months, like one more week, and it ended up taking 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the situation I am right now, of like, oh, I'm just gonna add that, I'm just gonna add that, and then, like, not really knowing how much time this is gonna take. And so that's why I kind of, like, right now I'm really at, like, so actually in all of my videos I say it's gonna be a demo.
Yeah, I've noticed that demo has been coming out for a while.
Yeah. In all of my videos I say, oh, there's a demo coming out soon, and that's exactly what I'm talking about here. You never know, like, when you're gonna be ready to release something, right? And that's something that's, I think, it's hard to put yourself limits and say, like, all right, that date I need to release something. I'm no longer referring to it as a demo. I'm now talking about the beta version of the game.
Okay, so
where I'm going to basically I'm kind of taking a leap of faith here. What I'm going to do in a week or two is I'm going to put what I've created, so everything I've done so far, for free, accessible on the Discord, for a week or two. So anybody that joins the Discord during that week or two that this is going to be available is going to be able to grab a copy of what I've built so far, play it, and give feedback. And so with that in mind, the game's not done yet, obviously, because I'll have to add stuff to it that's going to make it worth buying.
Right. It's like an actual beta.
People already have the game. Yeah. So, but the thing is that I'm giving away the game, right? There's no time limit. If you grab it during that week, like, it's yours forever to keep, right? So, it's no Steam key. It's gonna be a zip file. Yeah, that's kind of scary, but at the same time, I think that's how I'm gonna get the most feedback. And like we talked, like, to me, like, feedback is really, like, the most important thing. And I think that even if I give away, like, because that's literally one way to see it, is like I'm giving away 1 year of my life to people, right? And when I look at it, though, it's definitely scary. But if I look at it the way, like, that I think I should, is like, I'm begging for help, like, I'm giving this, and people will be able to tell me everything that they think about it, and I'll be able to create, with the feedback that I get, I'll be able to create something even better, something even greater. And I already know what I'm going to add in the game in the future, and there's going to be content that makes the game worth buying, right? But it's still a big leap of faith. And I was actually, like, 2 hours ago now, or 3 hours ago, I don't know, I was working on the trailer for that demo that's gonna come out, that beta. yeah. So yeah, I'm working on that trailer, and it's always stressing me out. I mean, that's the thing with game development, I'll, especially if you're working solo, and that's why I think I'm gonna make a whole video on motivation and the mental state that you're in
Hmm.
while working on the project for like a year and more. It's a hard process, but I still feel like, like I said, like I'm not doing this to have a stable life. So I'm always looking at it as I'm playing around, like with Play-Doh, like you're just squishing it, like playing around with it, making stuff, and if it's not cool, you're just gonna destroy it and create something again. And that's kind of how I'm approaching this project, and all the aspects of this project is like, even like for social media, like I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna try stuff and we'll see what happens. And right now with that beta, I'm like, I'm gonna release that beta and we're gonna see what happens.
Hmm.
Like I have no idea
Yeah.
and what's gonna happen in the future. Is it gonna pick up? Like maybe, like I don't know, like maybe like my whole Discord server is gonna take the game. Maybe like 2 people are gonna take it. I have no idea.
Yeah. I think
And
there's.
that's what makes this whole process super interesting as well. Yeah.
I've never heard of somebody just giving out a beta like that. Usually it's like closed beta or something like that. So it's
Well, I mean, it's kind of closed in a way that it's gonna be only available,
to the Discord.
yeah, to the Discord, but anyone can join the Discord, right?
Hmm.
It's open. So, and if you're listening to this right now, join the Discord.
Join the Discord.
Get the game for free.
Yeah, get the
Get
game
1 year
for
of my life for free.
free. Yeah, I'll leave that in the description for people that want to join the Discord. And then by the time this video is posted, the demo should be either a week away or it should be coming out pretty soon, like a few
Yeah,
days.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about the beta, almost at the beta. And I saw the video that you made about the future profits that you want to make on this, like the numbers. And
yeah.
you gave very specific numbers, and I saw that you actually
Yeah.
took a lot of the numbers from Reddit, from this post that somebody posted.
Oh, I took the whole numbers are from that post.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
that
Oh, so it's like all the
specific post,
yeah, all the exact same
yeah.
numbers.
It's really like I looked at that post, that awesome Reddit post, awesome guy that posted it.
Mhm.
Really, like I have tremendous respect for anyone that just posts numbers online.
Yeah, that's a very
Right.
brave thing to do. Like just to
Yeah,
put yourself
I
out
love
there.
I love transparency in game development. I love that we have a community that like game developers. There's a community of people that are willing to share these, and I love that bigger names like Game Dev Underground or Blackthorn Prod or people like that are sharing their numbers
Mhm.
online. I think that's a very important way to create a very sane community and not give false hope to people that see game development as like solo game development as an opportunity to
To
make a
make a lot of
living.
a lot of money.
Yeah, obviously, like yeah, I'm currently working on a solo game, and I make videos. I try to make videos every week, and
Mhm.
I really put a lot of time and effort into this. But I also work 2 jobs, right?
Right.
So it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and I have no income. I've made, like, if I really count like the money I've made with video games right now, like if I don't take
Campaign.
the Hulu campaign, yeah, in
Mhm.
consideration, I've made 2 cents, right?
Mhm.
So it's a lot of trial and error, right? And that's why it's fun, and like everybody, like obviously making games is fun and everybody would be doing it if it was easy.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's a whole process. We really got to do it for the process. And yeah, I've mentioned very specific numbers,
Mhm.
and I realize now that that was kind of a dumb thing to do because every single project is different. I've
Yeah.
watched a lot of videos like that and a lot of Reddit posts like that, and there's so many things to take in consideration. Obviously, I'd love to reach those numbers, but I don't know if that's going to be something doable, right?
Also, you.
I have no idea how. Yeah.
So I wanted to actually did those numbers change, like, because it's super specific numbers, but
Yeah.
it sounds like right now you don't know if you're gonna hit those.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, I'm always putting myself like it when you're making something, yeah, since it's my first game, like I really can tell, and it's true that I think it really helped me at the time to like I make a lot of these videos for me as well. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not only to build a community, it's really to be able to uh do exactly what we're doing right now, right? Look
Mm-hmm.
back at what I thought back then and how that changed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like if I want to be like the super like smart developer that I'd like to be, I'd still aim for these numbers and be in the mindset that, all right, I need to check out online. Like, how can I do it? Read that post once a day. Read that particular post once a day and like really like, okay, what did he do? What like, and like stalk his game development and try to see like what he's done, that particular guy. But like I might look at another game that someone made and did the exact same steps and didn't succeed. And
Right.
there's also a reason for that. There's never no reason why a game didn't succeed or succeeded, right?
Yeah. There's
I personally believe like there's a part of luck, of course. Like
yeah.
when you make a Reddit post
Yeah.
or a immigrant post, like if you fall when on that new post, like you fall on someone that has a very bad day and just downvotes your stuff, like that's the kind of luck that there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, during the whole process, to me, like if I manage to succeed with Planet Cleaners, there's going to be a reason for it, and if it fails, there's going to be a reason for it as well.
Right.
So, and I believe that it's that way for every single game out there. And I don't know how to answer that question. Do I still believe in those numbers? I'd love to
get those numbers.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to believe in those numbers.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to think that I'm gonna hit those. But I'm gonna do all I can to hit those. But
it's funny.
Am I as confident that I was when I made that video back then? I don't think so. Yeah.
It's so interesting that you say that, because when looking at these, because I have the numbers right here in front of me right now, it looks so conservative. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because like they look like real numbers. So basically the number, I don't know if you mind me saying that.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah.
So
they are real numbers.
Yeah, they are real numbers for somebody else. So basically in the first 3 months, the guy made 6,500 of net profit. So that's net. So after all the expensive, he made 6,500, and then he had 10,000 people put it on their wish list on Steam with a 5% conversion rate. So like 5% of the people that put on their wish list actually bought it, and there's a $500 of net income every single month after that.
Just to put that out there, like 5% is very impressive.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. 5% for 10,000. Yeah. How much is that? That's 500.
Yeah.
It's 500. Yeah, it's like
pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot. So that actually the 5% was the only number that I was like, whoa, that does seem like a lot. Like,
yeah, it is. A 5% conversion rate is crazy. I mean, and I don't know why he got those numbers. He goes in real good depth in his Reddit post. I still think it's a very relevant Reddit post, and it's worth reading. But what I love about these is that these developers are as clueless as we are, right, to their success, because they can only say what they've done right and what they've done wrong with their perspective of how things went down. But like I personally think that there's no human being that's truly able to run down by himself, like make the game and run down by himself the reason why these things happened the way they did, right?
Yeah, because
and that's why like data, and if you really want to land a job in the industry right now, you got to study like
data analyzing.
Data management. That's the biggest part of the industry right now, because that's what creates sales and that's what creates numbers.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very similar thing to like the stock market. Like you just don't know. Like you could say certain things like affected it, but you don't know for sure. And even people today,
YouTube.
Even people.
YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm is the same. I think with that it's maybe a little bit different, just because like there are certain things that YouTube knows. Like these are the things that we're looking for.
Yeah, of
but
course.
with things like open to the open market like this, like people don't know. And I think it's even for bigger companies, like you said, like they're looking for data analysts because they
Yeah,
even the big companies, they don't know how they got it. They just know that it happened. And anybody that
yeah,
says like, yo, this is how to do it, you know, do you know, like like
yeah. Do you really know?
do
And I
you
think like that's a very interesting comment you said with the YouTube algorithm, because uh you said YouTube knows what it wants, right?
Mhm.
Because it's a coded algorithm. But exactly with the market, you could say that the algorithm is people, right?
Yeah,
Because they're the consumers and they're the people that are going to buy. And so these data analysts are really like scratching their brains out to figure out how people work, right?
yeah,
And it boils down to how we made games and how game works. It's psychology.
yeah.
And it's I mean, like cracking the human brain is like a lot to ask. Like
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. People have literally been doing it for like not millions, hundreds of years, trying to figure out how the
yeah,
brain works, and still we still have like very little idea. And I think even with YouTube, I wanted to say something like they create the algorithms and they know what they want to improve on, but even
yeah,
the people that make the algorithms, they don't know the outcome of it, because there's a lot of
of course.
times, yeah, where they have a lot of things that they don't want popping up, you know. um
Yeah, yeah, of
yeah,
course. And
yeah,
that's when there's actual censorship on YouTube, right?
yeah,
When
yeah,
they make like a conscious decision of removing something because
yeah,
they don't like it and it's picking up, right?
yeah, yeah. So even the people that make the algorithms, they know how the algorithm works, but they don't know the outcome of it. So
Exactly.
if you ever like meet somebody that says like, you want to make $1 million making a video game, come to me because I know it. It's like, no, no.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But it's the same thing for like if you look at yourself, like obviously like you kind of know how you think, you kind of know what things you like, what things you don't like, but do you really have an impact on how you consume media or how you consume, I think we do, but there's a part of us that's still being controlled by the subconscious and
Yeah.
things that, like data analysis could, yeah, I feel like data analysis could teach stuff about me that I don't know about myself, right?
Hmm.
Because because data is so representative of things, but at the same time it's so abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
it's
like
a hard subject to
yeah,
talk about, but
it's a very like high concept. Like, what are we talking about?
because it's funny because it's super specific and super like it's maths, right? It's
Hmm.
data, but at the same time it's so abstract.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
I don't
feel
know.
like
It's
even
very
with
weird.
data analysts, they like I said before, like they know the outcome. They can figure out A and B. Like this is where we started and this is where we ended. But it's still
Yeah,
hard for them to figure out the in between A and B. Because like,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that's what they're getting paid to do, is to figure it out. But I think that's a job that's gonna stay up forever because they're never gonna figure it out.
Yeah,
And
of
people are still
course.
gonna be looking for that golden goose to like, hey, show us how it happened.
Of course. It's
Yeah.
a very interesting subject and there's a bunch of very interesting videos out there talking
Hmm.
about that as well and Reddit posts.
So one last thing that I wanted to talk about, just because you mentioned that he was a really good friend of yours. You actually did work with one other person that I know of, making the game. His name was Yus. And actually,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's my very, very great friend of mine. He actually just finished studying in sound at a school called Music Technique, and he really liked it.
yeah, it sounds.
And
I listened to some of his music. Yo, it's so out there. Like it uses a
crazy.
lot of Foley inside of the music itself. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's crazy. I've never heard music like this, but he has like some pretty
I
cool tracks.
know.
He has it
It's crazy.
yeah, he has some on SoundCloud. He has like a Falcon, Flower, and Bubble. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think those are the only three that he has up, right?
Yeah, for now, yeah. And he's releasing something I think Friday, so tomorrow, I think he's releasing something.
Okay.
But yeah, he's really interesting in his process. And I've never seen someone, because I make music, right? I
Hmm.
love to make music. And I've watched him like create, and he spends so much time. Like I think the most time he spends is on creating sounds, right? You mentioned Foley and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
he really spends time like recording sounds and then or finding sounds like in sound banks and everything.
Uh-huh.
Then he take those, and he's like the most time he spends to create his music is like really focusing on like creating the best sound this like wave can make, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so he creates things that are so out of the ordinary, and then it blends together to create something
yeah.
totally crazy.
Yeah,
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 it's
there was this
messed
one
up. Yeah,
specific part where he like it was like some weird like slap sound
yeah,
effects, but then it led so smoothly into like a music drop, and I was like, "Whoa,
yeah.
that was
He's really
crazy."
doing crazy
Yeah,
stuff. He
he's
definitely
doing.
has its own style. Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually worked on the game. So how was the process of actually making the game? Because you put up footage of that, actually, a little bit of footage of you guys making the game.
Yeah, it was
That's
super fun. Obviously, like we're great friends, so we had like really fun time
uh
making it. But we actually recorded Play-Doh, and like Play-Doh doesn't really make
yeah,
noises,
yeah, yeah.
so we took it and then we put some water in it, whatever, made some sort of bubbles where we would take Play-Doh and then make a little like hole and then put water and then close the hole and then squish it so it
Yeah.
makes like a little bit of noise. Like we had water all over the place at
Yeah.
the end. Like it was horrible.
Uh,
But yeah, it was super fun, and like watching him like play around with this and create stuff was super interesting to watch. And we had like I think like 3 or 4 iterations where we take all the sounds that he created for very specific things, integrate them with Wise. So we used Wise. That was the first time I used third party sound software.
mhm.
And
Wise is a sound integration tool for Unity or just for like any.
yeah, well, for any yeah, it works. I think it works with Unreal, Unity, most game engines out there. Yeah,
Yeah, because I see Wise all the time whenever I start up a game. Like I see like Wise, and it's like
yeah,
oh.
it's really used throughout the industry
Mhm.
because it's not really expensive, and it actually it costs something if you have more than $10,000
Yeah, I think
for to not like if you it's not like if you like Unity is like annually what you make,
uh-huh.
but with them it's like if you have $10,000 to make your game, then you're gonna have to pay something for Wise. But if you're broke and your game blows up, they're not gonna take anything because at start you made the game out of nothing.
Yeah, I think
That's what
Unreal.
I got from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Unreal has a similar thing where they take a they let you use the engine for free, but like if it's successful to a certain point, I'm not too sure how Unreal works, but like
Yeah.
they take a portion of it if you're making over a certain
Yeah.
amount. I think that's a cool concept for a business model because you're still making money, and also for people that can't afford it, they're still able to use your product. I think that's a really cool idea.
I don't know who forced it. I don't know if it's Unity, but I feel like once you have one engine that like uses this as a business model, like the others just have to follow
Yeah,
through because otherwise, like every single kid that wants to make games are gonna go with that free one,
yeah.
right?
Also, does Unity do the
So,
same thing now?
I think Unity made that first.
Really?
The move of like, yeah,
Oh,
I think it's like if you don't make 100,000 yearly with Unity, you don't need to pay anything or something like
oh,
that.
that's crazy. Because
Yeah, it's big numbers. Yeah.
when because I took half a year of game development, a little side
Okay.
note, I hated it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just because I went to school. It was in high school. I went to a vocational high school, so it's basically like you go to high school, you take all the classes, and then right after high
Yeah.
school, you get a job in the thing that you're learning. And I took
Yeah,
web.
that's cool.
Yeah, I took web design because I wanted to get into programming. And then for some reason they sprung it out on like my second year. They're like, oh, by the way, you're gonna be taking half a year in game design. And I was like,
Oh, okay.
like,
You were like, wait, what?
yeah, I was like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't sign up for that. But at first I was like, okay, it sounds cool, whatever. So I went in,
Yeah.
and then it was nothing what I imagined. Like I imagined, like,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
just working on assets and that's it. But
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it wasn't like that at all. I didn't like it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, obviously you're,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. It's just something that wasn't for me. I like more the programming aspect of things.
Yeah, definitely. I love programming as well. Like if I could like really expand my knowledge in one thing in game development, it would be programming. And I think that's something I'm gonna do after once Planet Cleaner is done. Might
Start learning more about
go
programming.
and take classes. Yeah, take classes and actually like good programming habits and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something to look at. I remember you talking about that also, about your code looking like spaghetti.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, my code's disgusting. Every time I live stream, there's people commenting on like, "Yo, your code."
Oh,
Horrible.
live streaming. Oh my gosh. I was just about to skip over this topic, and it's something that I wanted to talk to you about because
Oh really? Okay.
it relates very close to something that you mentioned where you were deciding on trying to either live stream on Mixer or Twitch.
Oh
And
yeah.
you said that
I actually saw today that
Shroud,
what's his name? Shroud. Yeah, Shroud
Shroud, yeah,
changed to Mixer.
that's what I,
That's it. Yo,
yeah.
oh my god. Twitch is dead.
Yeah.
My bad, but Twitch is dead.
I,
That's it. End of Twitch, everyone. Like sign out, done.
I wanted to get your opinion on that. Do you actually believe that like Twitch is starting to go downhill because they lost two big
Oh,
creators?
definitely. Yeah.
I actually have a
But-
different opinion than that on you. I think that Twitch could definitely be going down that road of like
yeah.
they're not the big powerhouse anymore if they keep bleeding creators like this. But I think two still isn't enough because they were expecting Ninja to make a big difference. He didn't really for the platform. And now I think they're expecting Shroud to make.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're hoping to make a big difference. Still, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they need at least like 5 big creators and the top creators from Twitch. Because if you just get like a mid-level creator onto Mixer, like, there's so many mid-level creators. But if you get like 5 big creators, that's a big number. And that's a sizable enough difference for people to
Yeah.
actually go like, yo, maybe we should check out this Mixer. But 2 people, that's more of their single community kind of thing that affects it.
Yeah. I get it, but I think that like the thing that I look at is more like how Mixer is built.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Mixer is a much more interesting streaming platform than Twitch.
Yeah, you did mention
For many reasons.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they have like systems of gratifying players, exactly like we mentioned with OCRs and psychology that makes people want to keep watching, makes people want to stay on stream.
Yeah, their UI is juicy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's really it's a very gratifying platform to watch.
Uh-huh.
And I think that people that watch people like Shroud and people that watch people like Ninja are going to go there and make use of those things and won't really be able to go back to Twitch.
Yeah.
And that's one vision that I have for it. Obviously, Microsoft is extremely aggressive right now in their ways of going about that. I personally don't really care which platform goes strong or not. Like, I don't care if Twitch keeps on shining. I just think that Mixer will be the place where game developers will stream because Twitch removed the game development
I noticed
section.
I noticed that there's not a lot of game developers in general on Twitch just like streaming their stuff. Like I don't know if that's Twitch actually did like a reorganization and switch from game developer into just a general art category.
Yeah.
But yeah, like do people stream like game development on platforms?
It was actually, I think it was pretty popular before. I think it kind of had it down. I think it's like when streaming a game, you have something to watch like that's very rewarding. Like you can see someone like make cool shit, and like if he's really good, then he's destroying people. Then it's very rewarding to feel that you're in that moment with him, and that you're living this as he's creating, as he's not creating, but like destroying other opponents. And I think that why game development hasn't picked up yet is because there isn't enough people making games right now that are willing to watch live streams. They'd rather make games. And I think that when making games will become much more mainstream, because it will. I'm sure, 100% sure that in like 10 years, like people will be so much more interested in how people are making games and how they're doing it, and their actual development skills, and how to improve, and they will actually enjoy, watching someone write crisp code, and like how he's creating any type of mechanic or system or whatever, because it's going to be something that's so accessible, like just like today when I was with kids to share with them the program of like, hey, you can make a game in 1 year, and obviously I'm not showing them how to code, right? They're high school students, and it's a drag and drop in Construct 3 engine. But a lot of kids came up to me and they say like, hey, I write Python and I write C# and I write C++, and we're like in like second year of high school, and I was like, holy shit, you're like 12 years old and you know how to code. And that's the thing, like, and there's no like, it's not the school showing them how to code, right? It's them at home that they're choosing. They don't want to play Fortnite today. They want to sit down, watch like a 40-year-old man explain how to write like like Python code to like run automatic stuff, right?
Right.
They're genuinely like interested in this at 12 years old, and I'm like, I'm gonna like go down so quickly when I'm gonna be like in 10 years, for sure it's gonna happen. It's part of life, and that's why it's so cool, and that's why I love teaching as well.
That's cool. I think it's cool that you're teaching. You're actually teaching out there, because I know you work at that, and then you also work at a burger place.
Yeah, I also really love working at that burger. It's the best burger in Montreal. Yeah.
I think we hit a lot of good points. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Wanted to plug?
Go on the Discord. Go get that demo, that beta, because it's gonna be there for a week or two. But
okay.
Yeah. Other than that, no, I really enjoyed this. It was really cool. I really like what you're doing. Yeah, podcasts are awesome. And, really was my pleasure to be here. Like, really was cool.
Thank you very much, and I was really happy to bring you on here as well. I was really excited.
Awesome.
And once you said yes, I was like waiting by Twitter, like, oh, is he gonna say? What is he gonna say?
Oh, really? Yeah. I'm so happy. Yeah. Yeah. Really cool. You really got something going on, and I'm really to be.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you again for being on. Go check out his Discord, and he also has a YouTube channel as well. You can follow his game development process. It's going to be youtube.com. Raphael, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Huot?
Yeah, Huot, Huot, yeah.
Huot? Oh, yeah. I'll put a link up, and it's also going to be in the description. And yeah, thank you again. You guys have a good night. Good night.